Hello everyone and welcome along to this week's Golf Show, and this week is a big week because we're previewing the second major of the year. It is the US PGA Championship. As everyone, joined by six-time European Tour winner Simon Dyson to do just that. He played in 5 of the PGAs, and welcome back, Simon. It's the week that you guys really dream of playing, isn't it? It's what you really get up for throughout the season.
Yeah, the majors, when you're playing competitive golf, the majors are what you want to play in because you want to test yourself against the best in the world. And the PGA is different. You have the top 100, you get some PGA pros playing in it. I always really loved the PGA. I really did. The US Open is just brutal. Whereas I actually felt like I could do pretty well in the PGA, and I did all right in it a couple of times. So it's a great event.
Okay, I cannot wait to get stuck into that. But first, let's recap last week. And our event, of course, it was the Betfred British Masters. And after a 20-year career at the 478th time of asking, 48-year-old Richard Bland became the oldest first-time winner in European Tour history. It's quite a story, Simon.
Do you know what? It's an amazing story. And you don't get many other stories in any other sport like this. A lot of people, when they're 48, tennis, football, cricket, they're done. Whereas golf is the one sport where you can actually keep going. And Stuart Sink's proven that, hasn't he, over the last, 4 or 5 months. Just a great story. 487 attempts, I think it is. And great to see him win. He's come close a few times. So the relief will be huge for him. It'll be a week he'll never, ever forget.
Yeah, as you mentioned, stories like this are great for golf, aren't they? It just shows you perseverance, never giving up, and no matter what age you are, you can still win out on the European Tour. And to be honest, it wasn't like he had his tour card every single year either. He had to go back onto the Challenge Tour and finally regain his card. So it really is a great story of perseverance in particular.
Yeah, and it's something you've got to really admire him for. It's really difficult when you've played for so many years on tour, then you lose your card. And I don't know, I bet he almost felt like, what am I doing here? But, fair play to him. He stuck to it. He got his card back through Challenge Tour. He had a decent year last year. And then, he's got that win. He's got the exemption. And what better tournament to do it in than the host tournament for you guys?
Yeah, it was a great scene on Saturday night. Let's hear from Bland, shall we, after he held the winning putt and he spoke to Sky Sports' Tim Barter, his longtime coach.
Richard, 478 tries, over 20 years, and the dream has come true. Try and describe your emotions.
I can't. Next question. I've done it. I've done it.
I'll let you take a moment to go around this golf course with one bogey in the entire week. It's a really tough course. It's a record on the European Tour. No one's ever played the Belfry in that way. What was the difference this week?
My game had been trending in the right way, and I'd worked really hard, and as you know, we've worked so hard on the wedges, and I just drove the ball so well this week. I've gone back to my old driver, and it's just around here, especially for me, I'm not the longest on tour. So I've got to hit fairways, and I've probably missed single-digit fairways all week, and if I have missed one, it's been by a couple of inches, and that one on the last end, probably in the worst lie you could find. So I knew I was swinging well, and I haven't got any sort of miss, so I'm always going to be there or thereabouts, and I came off a pretty decent week last week and a top 10 in Gran Canaria, so. I knew my game was in decent shape.
You lost your licence to play on the European Tour at the end of 2018. At the age of 46, you went back to the Challenge Tour. Most people said, there's no way you can come through that. It's just too difficult. What gave you the belief? Because you said to me, I still believe I can win. I'm going to go back to the Challenge Tour and give it a go.
Yeah. What was I? I was 46 at the time. And, what am I going to do for the next 3 or 4 years? I'm getting fatter as it is, so it's only going to get worse. It was just right. Just get your head down and just do the job. Sort of no disrespect to the other players. I wasn't there to make any friends or anything like that. Obviously I did make friends and it was great, but it was just right. It's just purely just get your head down, get the job done, and get back to where I felt like I belong. It's I don't know. To have the exemption now for 1 or 2 years. yeah, I can't believe it.
So emotional scenes all around then. And Simon, it was great to see Tim Barcher as well getting emotional. Not many people, I think, knew that he was his coach. We see him week to week on Sky Sports, but a different side to him as well.
Yeah, it was great for them both. It was the kind of interview that gives you goosebumps, that you can see how hard they've worked together and how much they've been through. And I remember Rich mentioning he'd done a lot of work on his wedges. On a course that requires good shots into the green, you're going to have quite a few wedges. He's the type of player that doesn't hit it offline. So he's going to have a lot of shots from the fairway. So they clearly pinpointed that that's where he needed to work at. And you know what? It's paid off.
And before we move on, just a word on your best bet, Mattias Schwab, because after landing a double a couple of weeks ago, he led after the first round. We were all getting excited that you maybe picked out another one, Simon, but he finished agonisingly a shot outside of the places in 11th. And I know we were looking at the stats, weren't we? And again, it's the same old problem for him, not just the fact that he's got great tee to green game, but he just can't hold enough putts to get in contention.
I mean, his tee to green game is better than anybody's on tour. If he could have had Richard Bland put for him this week, he'd have probably won it by about 5 or 6. It's just, I know what it's like that. I had spells where I putted poorly, and it's so frustrating because you should be shooting better scores. And he was up there, he was leader after round 1, up there after round 2. And yeah, it's just a shame. He'll be really frustrated, and it'll start to become a bit mental with him now with his putting. So the quicker he can kind of fix that, I'm sure we'll see him in the winner's circle again, because nobody's playing better tee to green.
And finally, just a word on Danny Willett as well. He was a great tournament host for our event. We're very proud to have him on board. And of course, we donated £19,000 as well to his chosen charity, Prostate Cancer UK. 19 birdies for him. But I guess that just shows you how difficult that course can be, Simon. Despite 19 birdies, still wasn't enough to get in contention.
Yeah, it does. And that's why you really have to tip your hat to Richard Bland. He had 1 bogey all week, which round a course like that is phenomenal going. But yeah, Willett did well, 19 birdies. If you're making birdies, you're doing something right. So he'll go into this week's PGA. He'll be quite bullish, the fact that he knows he's making a lot of birdies and playing good. But yeah, he was a fantastic host, and it's a nice, worthy 19 grand for his charity.
Okay, there's also an event on the PGA Tour as well, which we didn't get to preview. Of course, we were focusing on our event, the Betfred British Masters, but it went the way of another first-time winner in Kyung-Hoon Lee, who won the Byron Nelson by 3 shots at 25 under par. So congratulations to him. And in doing so, he qualifies for this week, which is a biggie. It is the second major of the year, the US PGA Championship from the Ocean Course at Kiawah Island. And we are paying 8 places each way at a fifth of the odds. And we touched upon it earlier, Simon, because the top 100 in the world rankings get in, which is not always the same as it for the other majors. It's probably the strongest of the 4 that you'll see all year.
Yeah, very strong field. Like the kid who won yesterday, like you say, he's earned the right to play in it. And so he should. He's won a big tournament. But I was looking at his form leading up to it, and he hadn't done anything for like 4 or 5 weeks. He was like 40th, 30th every week. So it shows what a weird game this is. You just find that thing 1 week and then it happens. But
I thought you were going to after time then and said you were going to pick him if we'd looked at it.
Yeah. But no, great event on a fantastic, tough golf course. So it's, like I say, I love the majors, and it's one that I really enjoy to watch, and I'll be watching it this week. So I have really good memories from years ago when I played it. Yeah,
well, let's talk about the course then. As I say, we're off to North Carolina, the Ocean Course at Kiawah Island. Best known for hosting the 1991 Ryder Cup, won by the US, and the 2012 PGA, won by Rory McIlroy with a record score 8-shot victory. This year, it will play as the longest ever major championship golf course, a par 72, stretching all the way out to 7,876 yards, Simon. And as you mentioned, you were in the field 9 years ago, and it was pretty long then as well.
It was pretty long. It's just a really good, solid test of golf. It's actually quite an enjoyable place, around the clubhouse, the drive-in. It's just, there's some lovely holes. I liked a few on the back 9, the start of the back 9, like 10, 11, 12 along the river. Just a really good test. You've seen the distance, 7,876. You're going to have to hit it long off the tee. There'll be no 3-woods and no 2-irons to get it in place. It'll be gun driver. There's a bit of space, but then there's a lot of, runoffs on the greens, elevated greens. So approach play will be key, but scrambling will be a must this week.
Yeah, it's ranked as one of the toughest courses in the US. Pete Dye design. 10 of the holes, as you mentioned, sit on the Atlantic Ocean, Simon. It's got a bit of a links feel to it, hasn't it? And the wind in particular could be a massive factor here.
It does. The wind will be key because if it's windy, you're not going to be hitting loads of greens. You won't see many guys hitting 15, 16, 17 greens this week. So like we mentioned about the scrambling, that's going to be key. So you want guys whose short game is up to scratch, especially around there. But the wind will be the key factor this week.
And the fact that it does get windy there and it's got a bit of a linksy feel to it, does that explain why in 2012, 7 of the top 10 were European players? We had Rory, of course, winning a record 8-shot victory. David Lynn was second. Ian Poulter, Justin Rose, Jamie Donaldson, Peter Hansen were all there too.
Yeah, they were. And it explains a lot. It really does. It was the type of course. I didn't play very well, but the first time I saw it, it was the type of course where I thought, yeah, it kind of suits my game. It suits my eye. It's not your typical American golf course where you have to, it's like throwing darts. This one, you really have to think about it. And it throws up all different types of scenarios. And I think sometimes the Europeans are better prepared for things like that.
Yeah, Pete Dye designs are known for their strategies, aren't they? The difficult sight lines and lots of trouble that you have to navigate around. So it'd be interesting to see who can do that this week. What were the things that you're looking for then when you narrowed down your pick, Simon?
I think the two main things that stood out was driving distance, not so much accuracy. I remember the fairway's been pretty wide, but because it's so long, getting it long off the tee sets you up for your approach. Maybe not so much the approach play, but I would definitely say the scrambling because, like I said, if it's windy, you're not going to hit all the greens, and that type of course, you're going to have good places to leave your approach and bad places, and it's about how good your bad is this week, I think, because if you can leave yourself in the right position, you're going to do okay.
Okay, driving distance and scrambling perhaps are 2 key stats to look at. And if you want to narrow it down even further, I'll bring in this stat that I always bring up for major weeks, Simon. We should focus on the elite nowadays. The last 36 major winners were ranked inside of the top 50 in the world rankings going into that week. And 22 of the last 24 major winners were inside the top 25. We just don't get shocks anymore.
No, we don't. It's guys who are in that elite class or guys who've won majors before, and they just seem to know how to handle it better. So, yeah, I've gone for 4 picks this week, and 3 of them are major winners.
Okay, well, before we get to your picks, let me just run through the betting this week. And don't forget, we are 8 places each way at a fifth of the odds. Rory McIlroy, perhaps unsurprisingly, is the 11-1 favourite back to the scene of his victory here in 2012. Then you've got Jon Rahm, Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas all at 14-1. Bryson DeChambeau, he should like it here with his length. He's at 16-1. Dustin Johnson and Xander Schauffele at 18-1. Victor Hovland, who might like the conditions, the surface is paspalum. He's won a couple of times on that before. He's at 22-1. Colin Morikawa, the defending champion, is at 28-1. Daniel Berger and Webb Simpson are at 30-1, and it is 35-1 bar. We're also paying 7 places each way on the first round leader market as well. Right, how many picks, Simon?
I've gone for 4 this week.
Okay, 4, I like it. It's a major week. Why not? We'll go big and hopefully get a winner or a place or 2. Who would be the first of you?
Right, so I'm going to go for the number 1 in driving, which is Bryson DeChambeau. He's comfortably leading driving stats, but everyone kind of knows him for that. But the rest of his game is really solid as well. He's leading FedEx, leading driving distance. He's first in tee to green, so clearly his approach play is pretty good. And then he's top 14 scrambling as well. So I just think he's the type of player that will scrutinise that golf course and give himself the best opportunity to score the best. So he's like a Spieth, leaves no stone unturned, and it is the type of course that needs that respect.
Just thinking about it as well, he won the last major we had that involved a greens book because the last 2 didn't, and he really struggled on the greens, didn't he? Actually struggled on the greens last week as well, but he still led off the tee and finished 55th. So that just shows you that it can easily turn around if he does find some form with the flat stick. So Bryson DeChambeau, the first one for you. Who else?
I'm going to go for Louis Usteason, South African, won the Open. He's first in putting, So we know how important putting is. Nothing can ever go wrong with that swing. He's always going to perform well because, you know, he has one of the most idyllic golf swings in the world, which everybody loves and everyone wants to replicate. He's 24th in scrambling. So again, his short game's up there. He's had 4 top 10s this season. His scoring average is 70, which is very good. And yeah, he hits 2/3 of greens. So there's a lot of good stuff there for him. And with him obviously winning an Open, you know, I played that Open, it was pretty windy and he scored really well. He can adjust his ball flight how he needs to. So there's a lot of things ticked for me with Louis for this week.
Yeah, he's having a good season, isn't he? We don't often see him play that well outside of the big events. He loves the big events, we know that, but he's playing well on the regular tour as well, 8th at the Valspar last time we saw him. So hopefully he can go well at a nice price. Who's the third pick?
So the third one I've gone for, it's probably the highest price he's been for a long time, is Patrick Cantley. I really like this guy. And we saw last week's winner, obviously the build-up. It was throwing like 40th, 30th into it and then wins. And Patrick's doing pretty similar stuff at the minute. He's probably not performing how he would like to leading up to a major, but he's second in scrambling. He's nearly 70% greens in reg and his average driving is over 300 yards. So if you can kind of put them all together and something clicks, then we know he's a winner. So this would be the step up for him.
Yeah, I was looking at his prolificness off the tee, and I think it was last January, the Tournament of Champions, the last time he lost strokes off the tee. So that just shows you how good a driver he is. And he's got that length as well. I think his best performance in the PGA was at Bethpage a few years ago, and that was a monster track as well. So it could well suit him.
It could. You know, I look at the things he's doing well, and driving, scrambling, and they're the two things that I think will stand out this week. And I think you'll see it at the end, where whoever wins, you'll look at the stats and their driving approach and scrambling will be probably better than anybody else's.
Okay, and you got one more for us?
I have. I chucked him in last minute. I'm going to go Spieth. You know, I think he's just like Bryson, you know, plots his way around. And I think if it's quite bouncy, which we're probably going to expect over there, you know, he can hit that low knuckleball, take the spin off it and kind of just get it round. And nobody is better at scrambling than him. He's one of the best in the world. You know, his scoring average is 70, but I think he's been better than that the last 2 months. Strokes gained in approach, he's 16th. Scrambling is 14th. Driver distance is around the 300 yards. And he's playing well. He's in form. And this is the last one that he obviously needs.
Yeah, Spieth's in great form, isn't he, at the moment? He's had 7 top 10s in his last 9 events. And as he touched upon, this is the last one of the 4 majors he needs to win. I guess that's the only concern. If he's in contention, can he handle the pressure of trying to complete the career Grand Slam?
That's it. That's the holy grail, isn't it? Everyone's trying to do that. That is what everybody wants. You know, McElroy's one away from it and Spieth is. But Spieth, for me, mentally, prepares for tournaments so well. I don't think it'll be a hindrance to him. I almost think it'll spur him on to try and win it. And like we say, he's in proper form as well. So it'd be great. It'd be great to see somebody new complete the Grand Slam.
Well, he's certainly got his confidence back, got his mojo back, hasn't he? Right, sounds like a good team. Just a couple of words on 2 players in particular, because I know you always tend to like them and back them for the majors. First of all, the obvious favourite, Rory McIlroy, and another one of your favourites, Justin Thomas. Why did you swerve those 2 this week?
I would love to have picked them. I really would.
You don't want to pick 4 of the favourites.
There was another one that stood out for me was Victor Hovland. I just thought I wanted to chuck a couple of, like Louis and Cantley, really love watching them play. So I thought I'd just kind of mix it up a bit. But Rory will be absolutely buzzing going into this week, having got his win. He won last time it was here. You know, there's a reason he's the favourite because, you know, his record around here and he's back to playing some of the best golf he's played again. So you
can't pick them all.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to pick 12 players.
We'd have a better chance. Just moving on to Victor Albany, you mentioned him. I mentioned earlier, Paspalm Greens, he's won a couple of times, I think, on tour on those surfaces, and that's what we got this week. How big of a factor is that? Is it just something that if you have played well on them before, you can use mentally, or is it a big factor for everyone?
No, I think if you've played well on them, I was always the same on links greens. There was never really any nap, and the break for me was a lot easier to see on a links green than it was, say, a Parkland course. So if you've got your eye in, we know how good he is tee to green as well. So I think he'll feature this week because he's such a solid player. Doesn't do much wrong, does a lot correct. So yeah, he would. If I'd have had 5 picks, he'd have been my 5th.
Okay, fingers crossed he doesn't win then. If you had to single one out, Simon, who would be the best bet?
I'm going to have to go Bryson, just purely length off the tee and all the other aspects of his game. It is suited for him. He will be 7,876. I bet he'd like it another 124 yards longer to take it into 8,000. Then he knows he's the one to beat.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see what sort of lines he takes off the tee once again this week. Right, good luck with those, Simon. Thanks to you for getting on board as well, and everybody watching at home. And that is it for this week. Just the one event focusing on a big one, the US PGA Championship. The action gets underway on Thursday, of course. Make sure you get to betfred.com for all the latest odds and offers, and enjoy Kiawah Island.